The head of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, I should say, resigned after weeks of internal tensions at the agency. Commissioner Marty Makary stepped down yesterday. He was in the role for a little over a year. Let's go live now to Capitol Hill and CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion. Hey, Nikole, so can you talk about these disagreements that reportedly pushed Makary to leave his position?
Yeah, that's right, Mugo. Well, what we know is that, there were many within the FDA who had expressed concerns about Dr. Makary's leadership, but ultimately this may have come down to, in part, a decision or an effort by the administration to try to get the FDA, more specifically the commissioner, to approve fruit-flavored e-cigarettes. That was kind of a point of contention between him and the administration, but it was just part of a number of issues, according to at least one source, but certainly others criticized, for instance, his style of management, that he was micromanaging a lot, and they just didn't feel that he was the most effective in that role. That being said, he did get a lot of high praise from the president, who did praise the work that he did for the agency, although he did acknowledge that the FDA, or former FDA commissioner, had some difficulty, if you will. But what's interesting to note in terms of the impact here on Capitol Hill is that Dr. Makary was scheduled to testify up here before a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on the FDA budget. In fact, the chairman of that subcommittee just yesterday, about an hour or so before Dr. Makary resigned, told me that he expected him to appear. He expected him to be here on Capitol Hill today, that he had been in touch with him, and that despite these reports of his potential ouster, that he was expecting him to testify. Ultimately, that is not what happened, and so that subcommittee has now postponed today's hearing to a later date.
And Nikole, I want to switch gears now and talk about a topic that just seems to have no end in sight right now. We're obviously talking about the redistricting wars. It continues. We know a Louisiana Senate committee advanced a new proposed congressional map. How could this new map change the balance of power, and what kind of reaction are you hearing?
Well, I think it's too soon to tell. What we do know is that Louisiana was poised to hold its primary elections on May 16th and still intends to move forward. However, those House races were suspended until the state was able to draw up new maps in light of this Calais decision by the Supreme Court. And so what we know is that the latest map that has since emerged on the part of state legislators is that it would reduce one of those majority-minority districts. Right now, there are two majority-minority districts in the state, the 2nd Congressional District and the 6th Congressional District, both represented by African-American lawmakers, Cleo Fields in the 6th and Troy Carter in the 2nd. But now, under this new map, it would be more of a 5-to-1 balance, where there would just be that one majority-minority seat centered mostly around New Orleans. We heard a short time ago from Speaker Mike Johnson, who, of course, is a representative from the state of Louisiana, in addition to being the speaker. Take a listen to what he had to say about redistricting in that Calais decision.
There's some seismic developments, let's put it that way. In the Calais case at the U.S. Supreme Court, the court restored a simple but profound truth. Yes, the Constitution protects every American equally, and that's a very important concept for us to maintain. This is another fact. Democrats spent decades trying to engineer electoral maps that divided Americans, and this decision from the Supreme Court hopefully ends that terrible practice once and for all.
So while the speaker praised that Supreme Court decision, which is ultimately leading to these latest changes with respect to Louisiana's congressional map, on the other side of the aisle, you have Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who says that Democrats will remain undeterred as all of these redistricting battles play out. In fact, later this week, the House Democratic Caucus is expected to hold a caucus-wide briefing to discuss its next steps. Mugo.
Okay, Nikole Killion on Capitol Hill for us. Thank you so much.